cre'von had not been getting a lot of snaps. Obviously, had some injuries there. But what did you see from him, and what was kind of keeping him off the field up until Sunday?
Well, obviously, early in the season, it was the injury, and then we had him back, and he was back in a sort of a dime type role. Him and Avante both playing in that inside position, and it was really just game plan from week to week. One week we didn't use that package at all, and other weeks we used it sort of, sporadically, I guess you'd say. But we've always had a lot of confidence in him, and with the injury situation we had, he had to go out and play just about every snap in the game, and really came through for us. Really good tackler, tough finishing at the ball. Our ability to win that game had a lot to do with cre'von.
Jim, you have got a good production from Timmy and Rush, and that they're both disruptive. What does that do for your defense if they're able to kind of sustain that?
Yeah, we need that from everybody that's in the game. But I think your point is Timmy has been really on the rise and has been playing, some impactful ball for us over these last few weeks, and we're going to need it. We got a tough chance ahead of us, not only stopping the run game, but trying to affect the quarterback. And he's one of the best in the game, and we're going to need everybody.
As you tried to decide how to play your corners this week, is it fair to say that cre'von's performance will mean that you want to make sure that he's on the field?
Well, we'll just see where we get to on Sunday with everybody else, but but we certainly have a lot of confidence in him.
Tim was actually praising Malcolm Jenkins with the game he played, and particularly one play where he kind of stepped in when Tim was kind of out of position, and he stopped Barkley. Is that what you just kind of come to expect from him, or did he just maybe play his best game of the year?
Malcolm?
Yeah.
No, Malcolm's plays consistently every week. I mean, he's steady as can be, and he's a good tackler. And the job of our guys behind the line is always to sort of fill gaps and make guys right. We're really not a paint by numbers team where everybody has a particular spot. We tend to attack up front and then play off of those guys. So Malcolm's just really instinctive to be able to do that. Some guys, it's like, okay, this is your gap, and they can't really go off schedule. Malcolm's just really good at creating. If he was a point guard in basketball, he'd just be really good just in the flow of the game, not just running set plays.
Jim, you guys faced Russell Wilson just a few weeks ago, but what's the challenge with a quarterback like him who has so much playoff experience now in the postseason?
Well, we do too. So, I don't think that's going to determine this game. I think the fact that he's really good has much more to do with it than has playoff experience. He's a smart quarterback. He doesn't turn the ball over very often. He's got great mobility. He can extend plays, but he can also just make his plays from the pocket. He's a very accurate passer. All those things will be factors in the game that we're going to have to defend. You don't bring your resume to the field. You bring your skill set, and we're going to bring ours, and and we're going to play hard.
They've had a lot of injuries too on offense, especially running back. How has that kind of impacted?
Well, they're still a top running team in the NFL. I don't know where they finished in the rankings. 5, 6, 4. I think it's probably. It's not a bomb, is it? Somebody's battery went out or something. Anyway, so they've rolled different backs in over the course of the year. Started off with Penny, then went to Carson, then went back to Penny, and then both of those guys got hurt. They'll get all their guys in there and go. They signed Marshawn and Turbin last week, so I'm sure they look like they had some scheme stuff where they wanted to get Marshawn Lynch the ball in there. They've always been a good running offense, and I think it sets up a lot of their boot game, a lot of their play action game. And we just got to make sure that we're up for that. We gave up a long run last time. What wasn't our best play, but you miss one tackle and they can go the distance. I think all their guys have that ability.
You talked last week about facing Marshawn. What's he had?
Yeah, it's hard to really tell based on that, but just his past history. He's such a strong running back. He's a contact runner. He doesn't need a hole to be able to gain yards. He's a hard guy to bring down one-on-one. You know, a lot of those same things I said about Ezekiel Elliott. Marshawn Lynch was doing that long before Ezekiel Elliott was in the NFL. You know, and it wasn't just run. They had him involved in the passing game. I don't know if they got any passes to him, but you know, they were you know, in the passing game with him. So he's in the game. We're going to know. I mean, 24 is in the game. We're going to be ready for him.
Does it make the fact that they have so many moving pieces at running back make Russell Wilson like that much more, you know, dangerous possibility that he might, you know, take some of that on his shoulders?
I think they run what they run. He always does that. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, whoever it's been in the course of his career. That part of his game hasn't changed. So I don't think he'll play out of character. You know, he's got a long history of how he plays. I think that's one of the reasons he's been successful. He's been so consistent. You look at his stats across the board. I mean, it's really amazing how every year he's just so damn consistent with completion percentage and touchdowns and interceptions and you know, all those things, quarterback rating, all those things you can measure a quarterback with. He's just been so consistent.
You talked last week about Derek's toughness. Even before the ankle injury, the few games before that, and since he came back, his pressure numbers have really been impressive. I mean, both sacks, hits, pressures. I mean, what has he taken his game to another level lately?
I think he's played that way all year. You know, he's such a tough guy, so tenacious. He's got, you know, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he plays physical football. He hustles. I mean, you can check off about every box when it comes to defensive end play, and he's done those for us. You know, we're going to need him this time. I mean, our pass rush is going to have a big challenge ahead of us, not just stopping the run, but and not just attacking the quarterback in the pocket, but able to make plays out of the pocket. If you think you're out of the rush, you're not, because the quarterback's got that ability to extend plays for a long time. So it'll reward guys that work hard and hustle throughout the play, and Derek does that.
Your time in the league, how have you viewed practice squad players? Do you view them as trying to give you scout team looks? Are you trying to develop them? How do you view that?
Well, it all depends. You know, some guys you might bring in a week because you need a particular position because you've had, you know, injuries and you need a guy just to get through practice. But generally, you want guys that can develop, and you want guys to prepare as though they're playing, even though they're not, because when, you know, you do get an injury and they have to come up, you know, they need to be ready. I think our scouts do a great job of that, of evaluating guys that are bringing guys in that have the ability to contribute. We've even seen a couple guys get signed off our practice squad to go, you know, start for other people or play for other people. So, you know, every once in a while it's strictly a practice thing for the most part. It's a developmental thing, and, you know, literally, I mean, I can't tell you the number of times in my career we've had to bring a guy up on a Saturday because, you know, somebody was sick or there was an injury on a Friday. You know, I said a bunch of times, if you're on our 53, we have confidence in you to put you in the game, whether you're inactive or active, but you can extend that to the practice squad too.
From your perspective, Jim, obviously Russell has a lot of experience in January, as you spoke about. You just recently played him not that long ago. Do you have to be cognizant that, you know, he's seen you, you've seen them, to give him some different looks?
Well, we don't change a whole lot from week to week. I mean, I think he probably had a good idea what we were going to do, you know, when we faced him the first time. It's, you know, you get to playoffs, there's probably not a whole lot of surprises going to go on either side of the ball. It'll be about execution, it'll be about teamwork, it'll be about toughness, fundamentals. I think those things will have more to do with the game than, you know, them coming up with something new or us coming up with something new.
Jim, when you guys acquired Jannard Avery, you said that you needed a plan for him. How has that plan worked out throughout the season, and how does it possibly change with Deshaun Hall going down?
Yeah, you know, it's a little bit different. You know, he has a special teams role, and, you know, sometimes we've had a couple things for him. You know, he's a little bit of a unique skill set. He's not as big or as tall as some of our other defensive ends, but he does have some value. He made a great play in that game. He only played well up until the end when we were rotating our defensive line through, but That one stop in the red zone, he's in the blitz, but he has to peel on the running back. And Barkley's not an easy matchup when that happens, but we had confidence in his ability to do it, and he executed it flawlessly. We were able to get the pressure, get a throwaway, hold him to a field goal right there. And the way that game was starting, it was hard for probably both offenses to get some traction. A touchdown there might have changed that game, and Ave had a lot to do with keeping that touchdown off the board. I think that he's a young player that has a good future.
Jim, there was defensive numbers at home this year at the Lake are a lot better than on the road, but in the playoffs, your defensive numbers are really off the charts. Is it that same energy thing amped up, or what is it? Yeah.
I think it's probably what I talked about before. When you go to the playoffs, it's more about execution and teamwork and all those things. And we've been in that situation for about the last month now. And our guys understand the stakes that are involved in that kind of stuff. It'll certainly be nice having the home crowd behind us. I think our players do draw some energy from the crowd. It's hard not to feel that, and I've said this before, from the time you park your car in the parking lot, you feel that energy from our stadium. Our players draw on that. So it's much easier to play at home that way. Russell Wilson is a guy that changes a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage. And I was just watching him against Minnesota, and that game was at home for them, and there's a lot more checks at the line of scrimmage. It's a lot easier for them to change plays. Our crowd can help us that way also.
In the last Seattle game, they came close to hitting on a couple big plays. How do you look at that? That that's a win is a win, or you kind of got lucky and you need to correct that heading into this matchup?
Yeah, they all go through. You can't count on. He missed that one wide open guy in the end zone. You can't count on a quarterback like that missing, that kind of play. We didn't match up that coverage right. So that's something you correct. But, every game there's some of those that I think people labeled as drops would have been really good catches. They're low percentage shots down the field. You got to battle and you got to win those. We won our fair share of those last week. I think that had a lot to do with us keeping the score down. We're close on a lot of plays too. Get a ball on the ground and don't recover a fumble. Wow, you were close. Or you have a guy that's an inch away from making a sack that the quarterback gets off the ball or gets the ball off. That's just the way this game goes. It's a game of inches. You need to make the plays that are there for you. Be resilient. Not every play is going to be perfect.
Jim, last year Rodney was long gone by this point. What has it meant having him play every game and most of the snaps this whole year?
Yeah, he's such a consistent player for us, and again, he just gives us such a sense of calm on the field because he's such a good communicator. Certainly a valuable part of our team. And you said he was long gone this time last year. He wasn't long gone. His presence stayed in the building. He was, in our DB meetings, hung around our team, mentored some of the young guys. We had some young guys playing safety position, and it just shows the kind of guy he was. Some guys can, I don't say check out, but it's hard for some guys to stay involved when they're injured. Rodney wasn't that way. He was with us the whole year last year, and it's nice to have him on the field as opposed to a mentor role.
You've been using Malcolm more as a blitzer this year, Jim. He came to the A-gap on Sunday and caused that fumble. He's been effective all year. What makes him suited for that role?
He's just a good football player. He's good against the run. He's good against the pass. He's a good blitzer. He's just all around. He's savvy. He's got really good instincts. Like I said, he's just a guy that can go in the flow of the game. Part of that blitz was his timing. It's not a real complicated blitz, but he looks like he's covering the tight end, and then all of a sudden he times it up, and him and Nigel both did a good job on that, and they had one little slip, and then the pressure, caused that play. That was such a huge play in that game. That game's close. We're holding on to a 3-point lead, fourth quarter, 3-point lead, whatever that was, 12, 10, 13, yeah, so somewhere in there. And we got pretty good field position. We got a chance to get a stop, and not only do we get a stop, but we get the ball for our offense on the 2-yard line and score, and that, certainly changed the game, and Malcolm's a guy that can make those kind of plays.
Jim,
Russell
Nate
Wilson,
has,
having seen you so recently, do you have to do anything differently? Can you do anything differently this time to give him something?
Yeah, we have a pretty long history. I mean, we played out there for a few years, and at this point of the season, you sort of are what you are when it comes to a lot of your stuff. Like I said, it just sort of turns into, no real surprises. I'll take you back a couple weeks. We didn't do anything different against Dallas that we did the first time. Obviously, the game was a lot different, but I attribute that more to the spirit the players played with and fundamentals and execution and teamwork and, all those intangible things that sometimes get overlooked when people talk about chess matches and schemes and things like that. When it's all said and done, it's blocking and tackling and execution. And, that'll carry us a lot longer on Sunday than, anything new that we put in. Every week you have different wrinkles and different things that you set up from a time before, or, things that you're shoring up, or things that you're changing, offense, defense, everybody does that. But, I think this is going to be more of a player's game. All right. Thank you, guys.
How's it going? Happy New Year.
Hey, Mike, the touchdown pass from Carson to Josh Sweat. Take me through that play. Oh, Josh, yeah, not Josh Sweat.
Perk, yeah.
Yeah, Perkins.
Yeah, I know what you meant, yeah.
Take me through that play and how unique is it for a quarterback to be able to make that throw?
Well, it was a designed movement play where we're going to, kind of get Carson out of the pocket there, and obviously fake to the left and, boot out to the field. And Perk did a really good job with it. We've repped the play over the last several weeks, and Perk obviously with his expanded role was only really getting the reps in the last week or so. But we got a unique coverage, maybe that we weren't anticipating on that particular play, and I thought Perk did a really good job of breaking all the way across the field and, in front of the safety there. And then Carson, we know how good he is outside the pocket, but he's, got the arm strength to be able to throw it like he did, put it right on him. Perfect amount of velocity to complete the pass, and a great job by Perk coming down with it.
The last time you guys played Seattle, KJ Wright had said that he kind of known when screens were going to be called. Do you guys have to be cognizant of that, knowing that they've seen what you guys are going to do and had a pretty good
Yeah, we figure we just run the same ones as last time, so that he probably won't be expecting it. Yeah, I don't know. No, we got to do a great job of changing things that we do, and we know they do a heck of a job out there in Seattle. Got a lot of respect for their coaching staff and their players. They got smart players, and sometimes that's the case, regardless of whether the screens that we ran last game weren't the same. They were a new presentation, but people know that we want to get the ball to our guys on some screens, and I think we still had opportunities there. Didn't necessarily execute them as well as maybe we have the last several weeks. So we got to find new ways to be able to do things that we want to do on our offense, present new challenges to them on defense.
You mentioned that the Perkins play was a design movement play. I think you had about 5 of them in that game, including the one when he threw the 41-yarder to Burnett. Yep. Was that just when you do that, are you just looking game to game on situations like that where you just felt they were going to be effective?
Just saying in general, calling the movements?
Yeah.
No, it's an every week thing for us. It's a big part of what we want to be able to do. Sometimes it presents itself in a game, and you have a case where you get maybe through most of your menu. In other weeks, maybe you're focused on some other things. Other things are working at that time, and you may not get to them. But we were able to get to them the other day, and obviously they provided a big impact and big spark in the game.
Boston Scott seems like he has a real knack down at the goal line for finding the end zone. There's a lot of good backs that kind of don't have that. What makes him so good, kind of finding the end zone on those plays?
The power of the goal line. It's a wonderful thing, and the other day the line did a terrific job. They opened up some really big holes. Boston obviously is hungry. He's finding that goal line. He's done a really good job of finding the hole, being patient, finding the hole, picking his way through it. But then when there's been a tackler present himself, he's taken on that guy and been able to fall into the end zone or finish in the end zone. So I think it's a combination of things. Good design, some good plays, and the guys have blocked them really well. And then obviously Boston's finished them off. So credit to him and being able to get in there 3 times.
Mike, is Greg Ward showing that he could be more than just a slot receiver, or are you learning, sending him out wide more of necessity than anything else?
Yeah, I think Greg's a very versatile player, and continue to show that versatility. And again, with all our guys, we're just trying to put them in positions where we think they can be successful and do things at a high level. And things that they've had repetition with over the course of the season and are comfortable with, and obviously that fits with both Carson and the player themselves in terms of what we're asking them to do. But Greg's done a tremendous job.
Mike, after that first game, Carson didn't have his best game. Might have been his worst game.
Right.
How did he get from there to here, where he's playing, pretty much at the top of his game?
Well, I think he's put in a lot of work. A lot of effort, and I don't think any of us are proud of the way that last game went. It wasn't just on Carson, it's on all of us, and I certainly take full responsibility for that. And we've been playing a lot better. It's a credit to everybody, in the huddle, on offense, and trusting the process and trusting one another, and just rolling up our sleeves and going to work. Coaches have done a great job putting these plans together, and we've had some new faces go in there and perform. Which has been fun to see and exciting for those guys. They were ready. They were prepared when their opportunity came. And, that's all you can ask guys to do is you may not know when that opportunity is going to come, but make sure you're prepared when it does. And they've done a great job with it.
Does Pryor stay at right guard? You guys don't like to use a lot of people or move a lot of people around, but does he stay there at right guard?
Yeah, Matt filled in nicely for us the other day there at right guard. Is that what you're asking? Or I don't know about the moving around part of the question. Well, it just depends on how everything shakes out, with the health of everybody available. But, obviously we're going to miss Brandon. Certainly his presence, obviously his experience, and certainly his ability. He's one of the very best at what he does. But Matt did a really nice job, filling in there on Saturday, jumping in there at a moment's notice, and played well.
Will Lane's ability to
That was one.
Will Lane's ability to practice or not this week affect the decision on what to do at right guard? Do you need that person to practice all week?
The right guard
Yeah,
or Lane?
the right guard.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think it's easier to play in the game when you get the opportunity to prepare and do the things that we're going to ask you to do on Sunday. So, just depending on Lane's availability, we'll take it one day at a time. I know he's put a lot into his rehab to get ready for this opportunity to go out there and play against Seattle on Sunday. So, hopefully, he continues to progress there. But if not, we'll move forward with the guys that we got.
As a follow-up to that, a big part of that first Seattle game was you were missing both those guys for most of the game, Brandon and Lane. You obviously don't know Lane's status yet, but you know Brandon's. How do you think having time will benefit that as opposed to trying to adjust in the middle of the game?
Yeah, I think obviously any time that you have the opportunity to prepare, that kind of happened in an instant there. So that was unique. Those circumstances were unique, but we've had guys jump in since then and play at a high level, whether it be Pryor or V. We had a couple other new faces in there on Sunday that did a really nice job. So Coach Stoutland, Coach Isfin, those guys in the offensive line room, they prepare hard every week for that opportunity. They fit into that group as well. Maybe don't get talked about as much as some of the skill guys that are making plays on the ball, but certainly equally as important to all our success.
Mike, when you look at Carson's season as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot has been made, about how well he's played the last 4 weeks, obviously, because he needed to win each one. But
Right.
have you seen that throughout the entire season? I mean, I know mentioned obviously the game against Seattle is not being one of his best, but other than that, I mean, have you seen him playing at the same level pretty much all year?
Well, I think he's playing really well right now, like you said. I think that's stating the obvious a little bit, but he's obviously a big part of why we've been able to have the success that we've had. But we've always had a ton of confidence in Carson and his ability to lead our offense and to get us where we want to go. And it's a credit to him. That's life in the NFL. You're going to have your ups and downs, and to be able to be the same guy and come to work, and and then obviously be able to work with new guys and adapt to their games and be able to lead your team. In December when the games really are the most important and get us into the playoffs. It's a credit to him, but also to everybody. And the competitive toughness and the resiliency. Just thinking on the bus ride home the other night, how lucky we are to have the guys and the leadership in the locker room that we've got, and obviously the direction from Coach Peterson.
Mike, how have the injuries to the skill position players influenced you as a play designer or a coordinator?
Well, I guess in terms of being influenced, you're just trying to find, a starting point, if you will. Okay, what do we know about this guy? In our evaluations of him, in their time that has been here, and some of it's been a little bit longer in some cases than others where they haven't been here very long. So you try to obviously do a great job of evaluating them and the opportunities that you have out there practice to try to figure out, okay, this is this guy's skill set. I think this is where he could fit into what we do. Try to put him in a position where physically he can be successful, and then not try to overload him with too much so that he gets bogged down and can't play fast. That you let his skills to kind of shine through.
What have you seen from Carson Wentz in these last 4 weeks? Maybe his leadership continuing to progress because he's playing with young guys.
You probably have to ask the guys out there on the field a little bit more about that, but I think he's very comfortable and confident in himself, number one. I don't think he ever lost any kind of confidence in himself and his ability to play this game. We all know that Carson is a tremendous player, and the guys have obviously we've all done better, and I think it's a credit to all the guys. Certainly Carson deserves his share of the credit. He's done a great job in getting us to this point, and now the season starts over, and we're really excited about the opportunity we got on Sunday.
As a
Some
follow-up to
of
Tim's
those
question.
guys like Bob Corbett and Greg Ward, should they have gotten opportunities earlier, do you think? Do you ever think
No, I don't. I don't really, Les. I mean, they got their opportunities when you know, that time presented itself. And like I said before, you got to give the guys a lot of credit. One of the hardest things, I think, about being either a backup player or on the practice squad is staying focused, concentrating, being diligent about your, you know, not just, you know, when you go out to practice and you're running the plays, but paying attention in the meetings. It'd be really hard to try to catch up, you know, in a night's notice that, okay, you're going to be called up and say, oh gosh, I wish I'd have paid closer attention over the last 3 months. Those guys have been locked in. Credit to Coach Walsh and Matt Harper and Justin Peel and Deuce and all the guys that have, you know, had to continually get these guys prepared. Guys that may or may not have had much of a role beforehand, but now we're thrust into, you know, a starting assignment, or we're going to be a big part of what we were doing that week. So it really takes a team effort to get it all done.
Mike,
Follow
you
the same
mentioned,
plan.
Really struggling offensively, like last time you played the Seahawks, you know.
Yeah, I would attribute that as much to the turnovers as anything else. I think it was 5 turnovers, which you can't turn the ball over 5 times against a really good football team and win. We were able to move the ball. I think we had 23 first downs or something like that, but you know, we couldn't sustain the drives. We you know, the self-inflicted wounds you know, really made it so that they were able to control the game. And we know that we got to do a lot better than that. We got to protect the quarterback. We got to be able to run the football better. We got to take care of the ball. And I think we've been doing those things. We're confident in who we are and our preparation, and really looking forward to the challenge. That's it? All right.